welcome back to Who Viewed My Profile podcast. I'm Adam Houlihan, here with my good co-host, Chris Mohawk Reed. And today we thought a good topic would be all around content. And Chris, I know your team have done thousands of content strategies for people over the years. And there's some really universal laws around what should not be in content. And I think it's some easy wins for everyone to just understand, hey, don't do these things. So do you want to give us a bit of an outline of, what shouldn't be in a content strategy?
I mean, the first thing you shouldn't do is never, ever repost content, Adam. I mean, that's the fundamental rule. Whenever I approach people, say, I do content, say, or you don't. All you do is repost the company content. And nobody liked it the first time. Nobody's going to like it on your profile either. So don't do that. Don't repost other people's content. Have original content. But the key is not to hard sell. You and I both come across profiles who've got tens of thousands of viewers, millions of viewers, for example, and followers, who all they do is they do hard sell content and get zero engagement. And I mean zero. I approached a guy last week, for example, 40,000 followers he had, and all he did was hard sell. He'd obviously automated it. He'd done 4-day, and it got literally zero engagement. So I approached him and said, look, your content's terrible. We can help you with that, but you've been determined to be a content spammer by LinkedIn. And he got really offended. He said, why do you say that? Well, because look, you've got 40,000 followers and you literally don't even get a like on any of your posts, which means that none of your 40,000 followers are seeing it. And that's because LinkedIn think you are basically abusing the system. You're hard selling. You need to build up your authority and you need to basically follow our 4-1-1 strategy. So we have a 4-1-1 strategy, Adam, which is basically one hard sell post, if you must, about your company, one soft sales post to make you a thought leader within your industry, and then 4 unrelated posts, personal opinions about local topics which are in the zeitgeist, which are basically trending, or a personal story. And now we do a mixture of all that for our clients, and that sorts out their content engagement and will get them the views that they need to then be able to sell, not the other way around. You can't hard sell and then do the content. You must do interesting content that gives value and then do the hard sell.
Yep. Perfect. And what about there's this ongoing debate about links. Should they be in the comments? Should they be in the post? What links should we use? What should we not use?
Yep.
Like, what's your thoughts on links?
I mean, it's one of the urban myths of LinkedIn. Basically, we put 2 links into the post. We put a link to the article if we are in fact referencing an article. So, for example, we're in Singapore, so I do lots of things from Channel News Asia or the Straits Times or Mothership or Asia One, and I put the link in because if someone wants to read the whole article, they can do so. I've obviously just summarized it to make a point and say, what do you think about this? And then I have my link to my services in, which is linked to the actual article itself. So if the article's about, for example, reputation management or entrepreneurs or F&B, and I say, well, we can help you if you're an F&B entrepreneur, we can help you find clients, here's the link. So we do put 2 links in there, and it does not affect our ability to go viral at all. In fact, I've tested it several times, our clients have tested it, and there's no difference whatsoever to be putting a link in, putting no link in, and putting 2 links in. There really is no difference whatsoever. And this urban myth about putting it into the first comment is just like, I don't know who made that up, but I bet they're having a really good laugh now at people doing this because it makes no sense. Why would you make someone basically read a post, then go to the comments to then read another article or link and then click on that to go through? It just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and there's also, like, just on that one is, first link is, well, how can it be the first link? Because LinkedIn defaults it to by relevance, not recency. Therefore, it can never be the first link anyway. So, we can scratch that one off. Let's let's just tick that box. We're out of there. What about with the length of posts? So there's so status post is a standard thing. It's 3,000 characters, including spaces, as far as the maximum. And newsletters, so let's make it into 3 parts. Status posts 3,000 characters, newsletters 110,000 characters, and then there's video that technically it's not by the number of minutes, the size of the file, but generally speaking, you could probably do like 10-minute video. So status post 3,000 characters. Where's the sweet spot on that, do you think, as far as the length?
It's a fascinating thing. There's also carousels, of course. So carousels are quite important these days because of the algorithm's new appreciation of documents. And if you read through the carousel, for example, rather than sharing 100 photographs, do it in a carousel, and you're much more likely to get people to read it, and there's much better value, looks better quality. I always believe that the shorter the post, the more impactful, the better. And if people want want to read it, they can always click on the full article and go for it from there. But the aim is to have a conversation. We're trying to create conversations on LinkedIn, Adam, and that's the best way of doing it. It's like, this is my point. This is what I want you to think about. What do you think about this? And having an opinion is like the best way of actually doing this. When you see these posts that have no opinion, whatever, and then they complain there's no comments, they go, well, you didn't ask anyone for a comment. You didn't ask anyone. You didn't actually suggest why people should disagree or agree with you. What do you expect people to go, oh, I like this guy, I'll like it. But they're not going to basically have a conversation. I think there is a limit on videos, because I've tried to upload sometimes my Metallica videos and it says, no, you can't do that. And the newsletter, I think it stops you doing it, I think it's more than 5 minutes. You can't do it in the newsletter, I know for sure, because I've done, when I go to a concert, I tend to video it and then put it in my metal newsletter, for example, and it limits it if it's more than, say, 3 or 4 minutes. You're not allowed, and you can only do, I think, 10 videos as well in the newsletter. I know 10 videos sounds like a lot, but if you go to a concert and you're going to see Metallica and it's 35 songs, then, you know, it's like half a third of the whole portfolio. But the point is, I think, less is more, I think. You don't want to be turning it into YouTube. You want to give people a snapshot of what it was like to be at the concert, or a snapshot of your thoughts. Or if people really want to read it, like I did a very long article as a newsletter last week about entrepreneurship and really going quite deep into it. And it's probably about 10,000 words, but people read it because it was unique. I made it exclusive to the newsletter because I thought this is far too long to put into a normal post. But what I did do is I took a snapshot of it and put a different picture and put it in my main feed. So I got both ends. That people want to read the newsletter, they can read 10,000 words. They just want to read 500 words, that's fine, they can read that. And actually we got good engagement on both sides, but different audiences, right. Which is, you have to understand the audiences, you and I both know. I mean, videos work for you, for example, Adam, but they don't work for me. I've tested it doesn't work. So maybe because I don't have a beach in the background or something. You do that so well.
Yeah, and it's a very good point that now, whilst we can say this is what a good strategy looks like, at the end of the day, everyone's got to test and measure for themselves.
It's personalized.
Because, you know, in some markets, video does very well, and in other markets, it doesn't. So there's no universal laws that this is the way a strategy should be. We're just giving you the overview of what things should be, and then you test and measure for yourself.
Absolutely.
So what about, you know, like you said, with video, and by the way, we probably need to cover in a part of this 360 Brew and how that affects some of this stuff. We'll come back to that. But if we just talk about video for you know, regions where video does do well, what we know is that short, like you said, short is better. So generally speaking, under 1 minute. Yeah. If we're just not talking about like newsletter length, because newsletter, people are expecting a good read. Yeah. That's why it's a newsletter. If it's a status post or short, you know, short content, then people's attention spans have just got shorter and shorter over the years. Absolutely. So I recall, you know, when we were advising clients sort of 3 or 4 years ago, we were saying keep them under 3 minutes, and then it became 2, and then it became 90 seconds, and now it's like keep them under 1 minute.
Even then, Adam, I mean, one of my friends, for example, went viral several times in Singapore on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and I said, why aren't you putting this on LinkedIn? He tried to do it on LinkedIn. He got the views, but he couldn't convert anybody who'd viewed the video into a client, so he stopped doing it. He said, it just doesn't work. It's very nice getting you know, going viral and everything, but it just add to my ROI. It's a vanity metric, which basically doesn't add to me. So he then stopped doing it and did more static posts, which he could then turn into an ROI. So you do have to look at it and not just say, isn't this fantastic? I got 1 million views. It's like, well, where do those 1 million views lead to? Did you get any comments? Did anyone then approach you and say, oh, you have a good service, shall I buy your service now? Because if they don't do that, then literally it's vanity metrics.
Yeah, it certainly can be if they're viewing content, and this is a good part of a topic we will segue into in a second, as to what does an overall content good strategy look like. And in my experience, where video can, again, depending on if it's good for your market or not, if it is good for your market, the video has to be part of an overall content strategy. Absolutely. Because it's not necessarily about just the video and the views and can I convert off that one post. It's about the next steps when we get into like the conversion processes and, you know, does it build the know, like, trust factor, which clearly it does. So maybe that's a good point to segue into now. So we talked about all the stuff we shouldn't do in content and the myths and things. We've busted those. So what is an overall content strategy? Like, is it post by post? Is it week by week? Is it month by month?
Oh, I think it's annual. I definitely think it's annual. You have to. I mean, that's why we sign up for our clients for 6 to 12 months, because if they come to us and said, "I want to be a thought leader, but I'll give you a month," it's like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Especially when they haven't even posted before. It's like, I can't make you go from 0 to hero in 30 days. I just can't. I can do it over 6 months, but I can't, because it takes, your cadence takes time, your quality takes time. LinkedIn then has to get used to you. You put it in the featured section, so LinkedIn goes, okay, this guy's a good guy. He's part of the 1%, because I don't forget, Adam, as well, the 1-9-90 rule. Only 1% of people on LinkedIn post. 1%. 1%. So if you're posting, you are literally in the 1% of LinkedIn. But LinkedIn need those people because they're making advertising based on it and advertising revenues. But they also need the 9% who are commenting and basically engaging and liking as well. But 90% of people do nothing at all, which is why you can have posts going hundreds of thousands of views and only have like 100 comments, or maybe like 2,000 likes or something like that, which is like, it's not about the likes, it's about the comments and the conversations. Under the 360 Brew, did I get that right?
You did?
Algorithm. I think I renamed it to coffee for some strange reason. But the 360 Brew is all about conversation. It's all about quality. It's not about likes and vanity metrics, which I know is like, a big thing for us. So I do think that you have to say, plan out your pillars of content, your pillars of expertise, your pillars of topics. What do your viewers expect you to be talking about? So my viewers expect me to be talking about fundamentally things about Singapore life, things about being an entrepreneur, things about being a LinkedIn rock star, and metal, and occasionally my terrible football team, Newcastle. But the last one, probably the last of anything at all. So it's mostly other football team supporters just abusing me because of that. But the main 4 are the pillars that I built my LinkedIn personal brand on and content on. And that's why a few years ago, I stopped doing posts about topical conversations or politics in America and the UK, even though I was born in the UK, because I noticed that nobody cared. Because fundamentally, no one in Singapore cares about what happens in the US and the UK, and nobody in the US and the UK saw it.
True.
So literally, it was a pointless waste of time. Because that's another thing we need to talk about as well, Adam, is like, where is your content served? So I believe, and the data that we have, is that your content, when you publish it, is served to your local community first.
Yep.
And then it goes beyond that based on comments. And that's just our research. It's based on our the data we've looked at for across 10 years with thousands of clients.
Yeah, and ours is exactly the same. So that kind of also plays into the importance of your connection strategy,
absolutely,
relative to your content
absolutely.
strategy. So would you agree that you, whilst often you'll have clients the same as we do, say, I've got a global market. I say, yeah, that's great, but you actually have to get a local market first, because the way the content's going to get seen is to them first. Then we can go outwards. So would you agree that the connection strategy plays a part in your content strategy?
Absolutely. In fact, we have clients come to us. Like we've got probably 10% of our clients now are not in the place that they actually say they are on their LinkedIn, because they come to us. They're in places like Bali and Phuket, but actually their business is in America or the UK or Europe, but they don't desire to live there. And so literally they come to us and they go, but my clients are over there. So we'll change your locations. We say, we'll change your location to say the US or London, for example, or Zurich. And then you can have your nice life in Bali or Phuket, but actually we'll find you clients there. But that does mean we need to do content for Zurich or London or San Francisco. We can't be doing Bali content because no one over there will care. But the algorithm there will say, oh, you're in London. We'll suggest London connections to you. And then you can connect with people in London. Obviously, if you're in Bali trying to connect with someone in London, people go, why do you want to connect with me? So you do have to change your whole strategy, your content strategy, your connection strategy, to make sure that if that is the place where your clients mostly come from, that is where you need to change your location. Now, the biggest challenge is sometimes clients like you and I have clients all over the world. Like my second biggest market is actually Zurich. Now, I can't have Zurich and Singapore on my LinkedIn connection. So what I have to do is basically do a separate strategy for Zurich, which does not include any content. I can't suddenly be going, well, this is what's happening in Zurich today. Because people in Singapore will go, why are you talking about Zurich for? And vice versa. So that's where the location, that's where things like InMails and Sales Navigator Advanced comes from in terms of getting the secondary markets. But it is worth noting that if you really want to go viral, then you have to go viral in locally first before you think about going viral across the world.
Yeah, there you go. Very important. And so the content let's say exactly that, somebody's based in Bali for lifestyle purposes, but their market's in London, as an example, or the UK. What about posting time? There's a bit of a myth around, what time you should be posting your content?
I'm not sure there's a myth to it. I mean, the data says quite clearly, if you post between about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, all those posts should go viral. And I've tested this myself. If I post at 6 o'clock, no one cares. If I post at 7 o'clock, no one cares. I've even stopped doing 6 a.m.s because no one cares. But 7 a.m. is the sweet spot, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, all the way through. And I've also found out on Monday to Thursday for lifestyle, Singapore, and work issues. And then I have to switch the strategy on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which are my biggest days. Ironically, Saturday is my biggest day. Public holiday is my biggest day. Mostly because I get a greater share of voice, but also because I change my strategy to be more lifestyle. So I never try and hard sell you at the weekend. I never try and talk about business at the weekend. I always pick out a lifestyle post or a polarizing post or a topical post about something about Singapore, which has nothing to do with my business whatsoever. And it'll go viral. It'll happily go viral. I could get up to 100,000 views and lots of people commenting. People have time to read it, to enjoy it. They know that I'm not selling to them. And getting that mindset is that I'm going to post on the Saturday, therefore I must post about black marketing. No. You can't do that. I can go back to it on Monday and say, thanks very much for viewing my profile and engaging with my content on Saturday. Now, would you like to have a conversation about what we can do on black marketing? But the other way around doesn't work. So I think looking at your own data, analyzing it, and finding out the sweet spot for you is very important, because you will be different to me and different to our viewers and listeners. Everyone's personalized in terms of their content strategy, Adam.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key point, is that as much as we can talk about this is what works for Chris or for Adam or whatever, at the end of the day, you've got to come up with a strategy that works for you, and even on time zones and where you're located as opposed to your markets. These are all the things that...
and when does your best post go out, for example?
Well, we tend to keep out, like you said, so if I'm based in Australia, and even though we have clients in 20 different countries, understand that we've got to get that traction in the Australian market to start with. So generally speaking, we post probably around 9, 10 a.m. And then, what we do see then is that it gets that initial traction because it's, and we've obviously, like you, I've got the full 30,000 connections, but they've been very strategically curated so that there's a good market of that's locally in Australia.
Absolutely.
And then they're in the pockets, which is where our sweet spots of service delivery are, which is the UK, North America, and Australia. So not a lot of connections outside of those regions. So that's been very, very carefully curated over a long period of time.
Because you have I think it's 5 time zones in Australia. Do you have to think, well, Perth's 2 hours behind me and Sydney's like an hour ahead of me? Do you have to then adapt the timing to account for people, countries, maybe people are listening or watching when they're in America or Europe or in countries where they have multiple time zones, for example?
Well, then it becomes very, very challenging. And Australia, when there's certain times of the year where Australia has 7 time zones, just because some states go on to daylight saving and some don't. But the point being, though, is that overall, they never vary by more than 2 hours. That's the maximum. So by posting at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, then generally speaking, the other regions are going to be an hour ahead of that or an hour behind that. So it just sits in a window there that works. But Australia probably more challenging on that level than many others.
Definitely than Singapore. We have one time zone here. It doesn't change all year round. It's like our weather. It doesn't change all year round.
So let's probably we need to get into just the 360 Brew stuff very quickly. So 360 Brew, if you're not aware of it, came out in November last year. Well, but and there's a few little things that you've got to keep in mind that so 360 Brew is all about content now, which is a good thing. But it's also, it really sets the scene on quality of content, not quantity of content. However, there's no downside to quantity, but it has to all be quality. So
I agree.
So we have a saying that we use is, what's the best outcome? It's to have a quantity of quality content. But what's your thoughts on, when someone's just starting out, let's say they're not using your services or our services, not being all done for them. They've got to do this themselves.
Yep.
And you're going, like you said, you can't go from 0 to thought leader in 30 days. Nobody
Yep.
can do that. So what's the main goal? Like, do you start low and build up, or where's that?
Absolutely. You've basically got to start. We start our clients with 1 post a week, for example, then go to 3 and then 4. Then the top bar package is 5. You can't start with 5. You can't go for nothing and then suddenly have 5 posts. You go, whoa, what's going on here? Plus, they will know that we're managing their profile. So that doesn't work at all. So we need to wrap up, Adam, but we have an event coming up. Do you want to talk about the event?
Yeah, we do. So if you're on the Who Viewed My Profile podcast website, you'll see a link there for a live event that Chris and I are doing. We do them every couple of months, so you'll see the dates for the next one. Format's very different. You get to say what it is you want to see. So you can shoot in the questions. Chris and I will go through them and answer them live on the session. It is online, so live but online. So you can join from we rotate them between different time zones. So check it out. You'll see one. If it doesn't look like the time zone's right for you right now, that means the next one will be. Yeah. So check it out, and we'll see you on the next episode.